Welcome to a very special preview for England versus USA in the World Cup matchup taking place on Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern Time or 8 p.m. UK time on Fox, or at least Fox in the USA. And this is going to be a major matchup between two countries. One, a traditional power in football or soccer for any American viewers, and USA, a team that is trying to rise back onto the stage after a disappointing non-event last World Cup. This is a very, very exciting match between these two teams. I'm in a unique spot here to preview this video as someone with dual heritage here, former dual citizen. So I'm in a very unique spot here to preview this matchup and to bring the attention that this game deserves, especially because I know a lot of my regular viewers are college football fans. It's actually the first video I've ever done that wasn't college football focused. And so first, especially for those who may not be necessarily aware of what this matchup is, I want to bring attention to this very exciting matchup taking place right after the Boise State game on Friday. Going to be an outstanding game. You definitely want to keep your TVs on and watch as well. So Boise State will still be related as part of this because I have my Boise State hat on and I'm honoring my friend's daughter, Chloe Yates, who plays for the Boise State women's soccer team. So tying that all in there, but this is going to be a focus on England versus USA in the World Cup. I'll talk a little bit about my connection here, set the stage for why this is such an important match for both these teams, what they've done so far in the World Cup through their first match coming into this game, some key players for both teams, for those maybe not aware necessarily of some of the stars on these teams, and then keys to the game, two keys to the game for each team, and a score prediction. So first, right off the bat, like I said, connection to England. My mom is British, my dad is American. Both countries have had a very important role in my life and in my heritage, and I definitely have rooted for both teams, and I do root for both teams in the World Cups and the World Cups previously when England and America have been able to both make it in. Obviously, last World Cup was a disappointing time for all American soccer fans, but traditionally rooting for both teams when they are traditionally able to play in these games. So this is a major game that I'm very, very excited about. Always a little bit of an interesting matchup in my house for sure. And I've followed every World Cup since I was about 10 years old. I remember distinctly watching my first ever World Cup on my grandparents' couch. And then, like I said, I root for USA and I root for England, so I'm very familiar with both these teams, especially England, who has had quite a resurgence back on the national stage recently. So we'll talk about that, and we'll talk about what these teams bring to the table and give you a score prediction here at the end. So right off the bat, setting the stage. This is an important World Cup, like I said, for both teams. As for England, it's part of their reestablishment onto the world stage. Obviously, they had some good goings there in the 1960s, 1966 champions, but, off and on after that. And in 2014, they didn't even make it out of the group stage. Very, very disappointing World Cup performance for them there. In 2018, however, they started to bring their way back. 2018, they built their ways to the semifinals, ended up taking fourth place overall. And in 2020, in the Euros, they only came right in second. They were so close, lost in shootouts, but came so close to taking the Euros in first place. So this is an England team that is not the team of more recent decades where they've kind of been competitive but not dominant. This is an England team that is building their way back to being a dominant presence in the world of football and being a team that is coming in and making statements on the international stage. For the U.S., and they expect big things. The players have already said that if they don't make it into at least really the semifinals here, that's probably going to be a little bit of a disappointment for them. For USA, this is a little bit of a different set. So England is building their way back into being a national power in the realm of international football. USA, this is a comeback and rebuild World Cup for them. 7 straight World Cup appearances, and in 2010 and 2014, they made it into the round of 16. So, competitive, not going out and being a true contender, but definitely being competitive and giving them their fans additional few games there to watch. And as I said, that 2014 series was very, very memorable for a lot of fans who didn't necessarily expect a lot out of that team, were able to come in and perform big. But then in 2018, they did not qualify. It was a shocking loss to Trinidad and Tobago in qualifying that knocked them out of contention, and they didn't make the World Cup. It was a shocking turn of events on the international stage there. So this is USA's chance to come back in. They are building their way back. This is their first World Cup there in the last 2 World Cups, or missing the last World Cup, obviously. So this is their first chance to kind of come back in. It's a very, very completely different looking team than the one that appeared in 2014, the last time Americans were able to watch their team perform on the national stage. And this is really a chance for them to build a foundation for 2026 when, of course, the World Cup is going to be coming to America. So the next World Cup is going to be a huge opportunity for the USA. This is a chance for them to build a foundation for that World Cup in 2026. So big impact for both of these teams. Definitely a big focus for them in this tournament. And the USA versus England are playing for some very big things, different focuses, but still some very big things in this matchup. And then just to kind of point out here, I did actually predict both of the games correctly, at least as the win-loss draw result for the England versus Iran and the USA versus Wales. I was saying a win for England, predicting 3-1, ended up destroying Iran 6-2, but I got the win correct. And I actually was saying a tie, 1-1 tie for USA versus Wales, which is what we ended up seeing. So this is a chance here for England to continue their dominance that they performed so well in their first matchup, and for America to maybe make a little bit of a statement here, actually, there's a chance for a really big statement here versus England. Let's look at these teams, what they've done so far, summarizing their World Cup performance. Like we said, England 6-2 versus Iran. The fact that they won is big to begin with, because a lot of the teams that have come in here that are supposed to be the powerhouse teams, are supposed to be the favorites, have not been performing as expected. Germany and Argentina both lost. I mean, both of those teams are pretty heavy favorites to make it through, and they both lost to middling to lower, no, let's not even say middling. I mean, they were bad teams that they lost to, or traditionally not great powerhouse teams, and they got beat by them. So England coming up versus Iran, you wouldn't think a lot of stressors there, but you mean Iran's close to where these games are being played in Qatar. It's not that far for their fans to get in. I mean, this was a little bit of playing on their home turf, and England came up and not only did not disappoint by not getting a win, they went even beyond that and destroyed Iran in this matchup. 6-2. It was a massive home opening win for them. Basically guarantees they will make it out of their group stage at this point. I mean, a series of major disasters where they basically have to lose all the rest of their games to not make it into the second round here. So big win for them to get into the next stage. But like I said, England isn't just playing for the next stage or the stage on that. They are playing to go and win this cup. And so having that kind of boost when you beat a team like that, when you get so many reserve players in, I mean, they had 2 players score their first ever World Cup goals for England. I mean, this was a massive game. 5 players scoring, 1 player scoring twice. This was a huge performance for England in this opening matchup. Now, having said that, and it was a massive, amazing performance for England. They dominated offensively. They were great defensively. Iran didn't have very, very many opportunities. And when England was, they were passing, they were being opportunistic, and their crossers, their set pieces were fantastic. England had a complete game in this matchup. Now, having said that, 6-2, Iran lost its goalie to a concussion, it looked like. He had to be carted off the field in the very, very early stages before a goal was scored. So all the goals for England came against the backup goalie. Now, I still think England would have scored at least, 4, maybe more. Probably, they might have scored all 6. They would have probably still put together a very dominant performance, and they still held Iran to 2 points overall. So England would still have won this game, and they won it dominantly because Iran, there was nothing you could do. I mean, you have your starter in there versus England, where they were, where they'd broken the defense and being able to put themselves in position. I mean, that ball was going to go into the net. But it should still be taken into consideration that Iran is not, a world beater when it comes to soccer teams. And it's also not a team that was playing with their starting goalie. And so maybe that 6-2 win, you don't come in overconfident is my point here versus USA, because while you played great, it wasn't a team that was necessarily a great team. It was a team playing with their backup goalie for the majority of the game. Again, England dominating throughout the whole game. They would still have won this game handily, but taken into consideration when coming into this matchup. Now, USA 1-1 tie versus Wales. A lot of Americans were disappointed by that. Obviously, we don't play for second in USA. We go out and we play for first. Second is first loser. I mean, it's kind of like a national thought process there. But the truth here is that the USA is coming back into a World Cup that they weren't in last year, because this team has not been the traditional competitive team of years past. So they had to fight and claw their way into this World Cup, and it was not guaranteed to them. So to come in here and get a tie, which again, like I said, I was predicting, is a win for them. I mean, they didn't lose. They have everything is in front of them. They can come in here. They can play versus England. Regardless of results today, they can still go out and compete to get into the the second round here. 2 teams get in from each group stage, from each section. So this is still a great opportunity. They are still putting themselves, destiny in their own hands kind of thing. They have a great opportunity to come in here and have a nice performance versus England, and win or lose, still have a chance to get into the group stage. But obviously, 1-1 versus Wales, and you lose and you tie, but in Americans' mind, lose almost. You tie your opening match is not the result you want to see, especially when they were so dominant in the first half. I mean, America dominated the first half, and honestly, they had so many opportunities on goal, or opportunities where there were chances if they could have passed it a little bit better, if they could have got the cross in a little bit better, if the player that they were trying to pass it to had been in just a couple of feet difference, America would have been able to get 1, 3, 8 more goals than they did, because there were so many opportunities where you went away going, how did they not score on that? How did they not get that chance, that opportunity? So America was very, very dominant, very aggressive. I don't think the final score, the 1-1 score overall, tells the full story of this matchup. Now, having said that, they were also playing very, very, what I'd like to say, wild. I mean, there was a lot of desperate crosses, terrible corner kicks, and some of the worst corner kicks I've ever seen. And they had some great drives, but they weren't playing coherently as a team. There was the goal that America did score on the opportunistic counter. That was great. That was a great pass, over to Timothy Way, counter, in for the goal. That was perfect. That's what you want to see more of. But most of the time they would drive. They'd get a great drive going, but they wouldn't be looking to the open man to pass. They'd be just looking to basically drive as far as they could get with it. Wales would have time to get back on defense, and they would end up running into nowhere, or they'd end up swinging in a wild cross to really nobody in particular. So America has to do better in this game, getting the pass off, driving, not just to drive, but driving to pass, finding those opportunities to use your teammates more, and some great individual effort, but not a great teamwork effort in this matchup. And Wales definitely came in strong in the second half, did a better job of adjusting, switching up their game plan, and America looked a little bit taken aback there in the second half going up against Team Wales. Now, also consider that Wales was playing in their first World Cup game in over 50 years. So that also should maybe shake up a little bit here with the fan base, because this wasn't like you went out and you tied a really, really good team. I mean, you went out and you tied Wales, who played very competitively, and I thought played very smart, especially in the second half, but this is not a great team. So that should be taken into account as well with the end result here. America, though, was the better team in that matchup for sure. Team USA, definitely the better team throughout that matchup. However, not being able to take advantage of the opportunities given them, and also some bad refereeing along the way, we can be honest with that, but not being able to take advantage of the opportunities given them to go out and get that win. Hopefully they can take advantage, if given opportunities, which it's going to be tough against England, but if given those opportunities, go out and actually convert on them. That's what America's going to be looking to do here when we get to our keys to the game. But key players here, just real quick here off the bat, England. Obviously, headliner, Harry Kane. Everybody knows about Harry Kane. Even if you barely know, if this is the first time you're watching a video related to, international sport of football in some way, and you have never watched World Cup before, you probably have heard of Harry Kane. I mean, he is a household name. He has been a big feature in their Euros match and in the previous World Cup. Star of the team, and he's really kind of selling into his role as more of an assister this year, because the defense is focusing on him. They know where he is. He really kind of sucks the defense into him, which opens up opportunities to pass. A lot of the goals that England scored were off of setups from Harry Kane, either directly or indirectly. So really a great player in his own right as far as his own offensive potential, but even now in what he's able to bring as far as a distraction and as being able to help his teammates go out and get those wins. Next here, this is a new name, Saka. He is a young guy. He's only 21, but he is playing with energy and passion. He is England's future. He is one of the brightest stars here, one of the brightest, rising stars here for England, brimming over with talent and energy. I think he might be the key, that spark, that extra spark to getting England to where they want to be in this World Cup this year. He had two goals versus Iran. He is really exciting to me. And then Harry Maguire, that's another big name here for England. And he's a guy who had a little bit of an off night versus Iran. The whole team had a great night overall, and some individual performances were absolutely outstanding. But, he missed on some opportunities. He really wanted to have a better performance. And I think this is going to be an important game for him to kind of get himself back into the momentum of the game and establish himself for this World Cup going forward. Now, Team USA, not necessarily the big headliners. I listed off those names. Those are guys that are, established in the sport, international sport of football there. But here, USA is a little bit of an underdog. Not a little bit. It is a massive underdog story here. A lot of guys who are really kind of coming into their first time to really present themselves here on this world stage. For me, top off the bat here, I think it goes with any USA team because, let's be honest, USA, America, is not focused on the sport of soccer. It's not. Probably soccer would find itself fourth in most states, and especially when you take into account the country as a whole, it is not going to be the top sport in the country, and so they really kind of struggle a little bit to develop players quite as well. Some other teams, also MLS, does not compete well when you start looking at the Premier League and other international soccer leagues. The MLS does not compete on the same level as viewership, as far as types of the money that is being involved in that sport, as the type of players that they're being able to bring in and develop. So it's always going to be a little bit of an underdog story, but it's also going to be a team that is going to rely on their goalkeeper because, like it or not, good teams are going to find opportunities to get in there and get the ball headed toward the net. Now, last World Cup that America was in, the story of that tournament was Tim Howard. He was, I loved it. Someone on Wikipedia at one point changed the definition for Secretary of Defense to Tim Howard. It was awesome. It was a great article. It ended up getting taken down eventually. But obviously, Team USA's hopes and dreams are going to rely here on their goalie because there's going to be opportunities given up no matter what happens, really. So, Matt Turner, he's a fantastic goalie. He's going to be heavily tested. Like I said, 6 goals made versus Iran. He's going to be very heavily tested by this England squad. But he played really, really well versus Wales. Sorry, a little bit of a tongue twister there. But he played really, really well versus Wales. Obviously, let in the one penalty kick, but he deflected or stopped a lot of other attempts on goal, and even on the penalty kick, he guessed the right way. Or not so much guessed. A lot of it is, some of it is guesswork, but it's also skill. He made the right decision. He went in the right direction, but it was just a perfect penalty kick, high upper right bar. That's where you want to put it. Goalie's got to get all the way up there, and he's already kind of second guessing himself. He dived in the right direction. It just was a perfect kick, and the goal was able to be scored there to tie up the match. But overall, he did a great job in this game, and maybe the fact that America didn't lose this is a big part because of him as well. Even though, like I said, America had so many opportunities, they should have won this game. Second on this, and this is the star, the Harry Kane counterpart, not positionally, but when it comes to name-wise for this team, it's going to be Christian Pulisic. He is obviously the star, the focus, the big name here for this USA team. But another, I think, more important name here, and there's some sites out there that list him as the best player on this team, is going to be McKennie. He, like I said, he's listed by some sites as the best player on this team. He plays there at the midfield, and with the big push that England brings on offense, I think he's going to have a even more important role defensively here for Team USA. I think he's going to be a big name, but these 3 guys, definitely guys that are going to have a big impact in this matchup for Team USA. All right, keys to the game here. Starting off with England. Keys to the game, number 1, put USA on the defensive. Like I said, first half, America dominated. They were very aggressive. They were playing offensively. They had the ball on Wales' side, and they had so many opportunities they weren't able to put in. Second half, Wales came out very aggressive, said we're not going to let them keep the ball on our side of the field. We're going to pressure them, even if it means maybe making ourselves more vulnerable at times. We're going to put the ball on their side of the field. Of course, they had to because they needed to get a goal. But America looked lost when Wales was being that aggressive and pushing them on their side of the field. They didn't have as many offensive opportunities. They weren't able to really fully recover and get that and reassert themselves into controlling the game once Wales took the offensive there in the second half. So for England, England's a very patient team. They really kind of let things develop and then they'll push you. But I think England off the bat here should be a little bit more aggressive, put USA on the defensive here, and have a chance here to dominate the first half, get a couple goals in, and then maybe become a little bit more defensive in the second half. I think offensively, coming in aggressive versus Team USA and putting them on their backs is going to be the focus, should be the focus here for England. And plus, adding to that, you have the depth and you have the awareness to be able to play a little further forward and it not hurt you. You know, England has, I mean, they have stars. The announcers were talking about it. You know, you have your main guys go off, and the squad that comes in as the substitutes are as good as the ones that just came off. So England can hurt you with a substitute game. They can run their guys hard all game and still come in and hurt you in the second half or whenever they end up putting in their players. They can still come in and hurt you with the substitutes at the same rate as the guys that they've had in on the front end. And England is a very, very good team. Overall, I can say that not just as they have good players, but they play a good team version of the game with good awareness and good positioning, where even if they're playing a little further forward, they should still have the awareness to be able to get back on defense and stop any major counters from the USA. And then second here, though, don't become complacent. Like I said, big win versus Iran. You open up with a massive win versus Iran. Now you're coming in to play an America team, Team USA, that hasn't been to a World Cup, in 8 years. So this is a USA team that didn't make the last World Cup, and you might be thinking to yourself, man, we just went out and destroyed Iran. We should be able to come in and do the same thing here versus Team USA. Like I said, don't have their starting goalie. It was there were some opportunities there that were maybe created by that. England would have still have won, but they shouldn't be coming in here so cocky that they overlook a USA team that is very determined to come in and win this game. Obviously, you have the rivalry nature. USA is trying to get back onto the stage. They're playing a little bit of desperation, so that's always dangerous. And then they're still hungry for that first win. They didn't get that versus Wales. They're disappointed in how they let down the second half. They want to come in here versus England and prove, getting a win versus England would be the feather in the cap of this whole tournament for Team USA. This would be the game. This is their, Super Bowl here, to use more American terminology. This is their final already here in the group stage to make that statement that, hey, regardless what happens in this tournament, Team USA is a team to be taken seriously, and we are established back on the national stage of international football. That is what they're looking for in this game. So England cannot be complacent at all in this one. They need to come out here and play like they're playing a top team, get off to a good lead early, if able, and then maybe, send your subs and you can take it a little bit easy on the back end. But England, even though they've basically kind of already secured their way here into the second round, a loss versus USA would be, terrible for the momentum and energy of the fan base and the team, and it would be detrimental, potentially, depending on how things happen. Crazy things can happen. You don't want to take anything for granted. Come in here and play your best versus Team USA. For the USA, number one here is play for the tournament, not the game. Now, obviously, you want to come in and win. But more than anything, you want to keep yourself in competition to get out of the group stage, survive this set, and move into the second round. So, it's easy to get sucked in and focused on, this. Like I said, this is such a big game. This is the final game here already here in the first round. But you can't let that become your focus. Because England right now, America right now, you look at the teams in the division. You got Wales, who's tied, just like the USA. Iran has taken a major loss there with a 4-goal differential. And then England, obviously, who's got the 1-0 and the massive 4-goal differential plus, not negative, in their column. So the USA, all they have to do realistically, is they already tied Wales, so now that's their main competitor. They need to lose to England. I'm saying the minimum that the USA has to do. Lose to England by less than Wales does. And again, this is all theoretical. Lose to England by less than Wales does. And then beat Iran by more than Wales does. Or maybe a combination of those things. Or even, if they lose to England by more than Wales, that you lose to England by more than what Wales does, but then beat Iran by more than what Wales does, and the goal differential ties out. That's going to be the focus. The Team USA should be focused on that goal differential and keeping that as small as possible. If USA can get a tie in this one, that would be incredible. Because like I said, the difference in levels of talent between these two teams is massive. It would be a massive upset just to be able to get a tie. But even if Team USA can hold them to, say, 3-goal differential or less, that, I think, would still be a positive for this team, even though, of course, the team and the fan base is not going to see it that way. But that's what they should be focusing on. So I think they should come out a little bit more defensively, limit England's opportunities to score, be opportunistic, take the counters when you can, but don't come off overbalanced where England has opportunities to score quickly and get the momentum, and then it just snowballs. America should be focusing on the long game, not getting tunnel vision on this matchup. Second key here, focus on the, and this plays into what I was just talking about with focus on the tournament overall, but focus on the defense and minimize England's set pieces and corners, which we just already talked about. You know, play for the quick corner opportunity, but don't be disheartened by England goals. You know, England gets a couple of goals, fine. Come back out each time, score 0-0. Try to keep them from getting the next one. See if you can answer. That should be their focus every time. Regardless of what England scores on Team USA, regardless of if they lose this game, as long as they do it better, you know, they don't lose as bad as Wales, or keep it closer than what Wales does, they are fine. They beat Iran by more, and they are into the next stage. So keeping the focus on the tournament, not the game, and then being focused on the defense and minimizing England's opportunities to score, and not being disheartened by goals being scored here by England, and allowing that to snowpile on them. You know, they are setting themselves up here for 2026. This is their, all right, we're back onto it. We're getting players experience. We're getting that introduction. We're introducing ourselves back to the national stage and to the fan base. A lot of people haven't watched us play in a very long time. We are reestablishing ourselves here for 2026, when we can come in and make a really good run of it. What anything America gets in this World Cup is extra. This is bonus. Nobody expects them to do anything. They probably are they would be proving a lot to themselves by advancing past the second round. They'd be proving a lot by just advancing past the first round here. So anything Team USA does in this World Cup is extra, and they're setting themselves up for the big matchups in 2026 when they'll have an opportunity in front of their home country, their packed out stadiums, with a team that's very, very focused and prepared, and hopefully coming off of some great experience in this matchup to come in and have a great game, great series, great World Cup in 2026. So stay focused on the tournament, not the game, and play defensively and minimize England's opportunities to score. So final prediction, as you can tell, I'm leaning towards an England win quite heavily. I think that the USA can minimize it, though. I was going to predict 4-1. I'm still kind of leaning that direction, but I really think that this is going to be a very, very focused USA team that comes in here and keeps England out of harm's way, out of the reach of scoring for quite a bit of this game here. At least not as many opportunities as they had versus Iran. So I don't think we're going to see another 6-2 kind of blowout. I think England will win this one 3-1, which I think would be a huge win for Team USA to be able to get that opportunity. And obviously, the win by England will guarantee them entry into the second round here. So England is playing to guarantee their entry into the second round here for the World Cup. Team USA is trying to preserve that dream of getting the second round, keep that alive. USA, if they can focus on the keys I've given them, I think that they will manage to keep this one tight. I think that 3-1 is quite manageable. I don't see another draw. I don't see Team USA winning. I would be shocked if Team USA was able to get the win in this one. But keeping it close, I think that will give them a good opportunity to come in here, advance the next stage, and set themselves up to advance the next stage. And then England, I could totally see 4-1 happening, but I don't think more than that. And I really do think that this 3-1 score is going to hold true. So that's my final prediction. Thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like and subscribe. And again, your future videos, we'll be getting back to our regular Boise State content, and a game review will be coming after the Utah State game. But thanks so much for watching. And as always, go Big Blue.